If you think you're going hunting again, you're crazy.
You are out of your mind.
All right, guys, welcome to the first episode of our new podcast, Outdoor Asylum. Hope everybody's having a good day. We've been talking about doing this for a long time. We're recording this in the Cache River studio here at the Elite Duck Call shop, and joined here with my my producer, Jake Cypert. Jake, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing real good.
I don't believe you. It didn't sound very convincing.
I'm having a good day.
Also joined here with my good friend, hunting buddy, Dusty McDaniel. Dusty, man, thanks for coming in and doing this.
Appreciate you having me here. We've been talking about doing this a long time.
We have been talking about this a long time. And, for all you guys, let me kind of give you a brief rundown of what we're trying to do here. It's the Outdoor Asylum, the name that we came up with. It's so many of us, and this is who this podcast is for, the guys that love to hunt, the outdoors. We're crazy about it. People say, man, you're insane. You get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're out there in the freezing cold, and you're chasing ducks, you're hunting this, you're spending all this time, and you're crazy. Your wife thinks you're insane. You're doing this again, you're nuts. But it's just a part of life, so we're crazy about it. But I think what all hunters, what all outdoorsmen really understand is that, there's a flip side to asylum. There's another meaning of that word. And for us, the insanity is our everyday life. It's the job, it's everything. And where we find our peace, where we really get our asylum, is when we're in the outdoors, when we're out there hunting, fishing, just spending some time in nature. I always say you feel closer to God when you're out there than you do any other time. So that's how we came up with this Outdoor Asylum, and this is the guys that we're doing this for. We always say, we have a hashtag that we use sometimes with Elite Duck Calls, make life your outdoor show. And this is for the guys that do that. Their life is their outdoor show. They're that serious and that passionate about it.
No, you're right. We've talked about before with asylum being more of a sanctuary to us than the insanity part. Mm-hmm. I think that drives home every day with talking about how we go out and we get up, we climb mountains, we scout, we run rivers, we do everything nobody else would. Everybody says we're crazy. 6, 7, 8 days in a row, take a break, do it again, or no break at all. Mm-hmm. But like you said, that's our sanity. That's our release, our quiet time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And to tell you something else, guys, with this podcast, some of you guys know me is being the owner of Elite Duck Calls. But this podcast, this is not the Elite Duck Calls podcast. What we're doing this for, I want to make sure that everybody understands this is for everybody. We don't care what kind of duck call you use. We don't care what kind of camo pattern you want to wear. We don't care what kind of shotgun, Coke, Pepsi, Bud Light, Miller Lite. We don't care. This is for the guys that are passionate about hunting, just want to get in on this conversation. We plan to have guests on here. Some of these guests are going to be guys that literally make their living in the outdoors, guys that are in the business. And then a lot of the guests, a lot of people we're going to have on here, maybe they're not in the business per se as far as making their living here, but it's very much ingrained in them. It is a huge part of their life, and that's the guys that we want to do this, and hope all you guys will share this with your friends, follow us, hit the like button and follow us and tell your friends about this. The more people we get on here, we want to get input from everybody and just want to relax here and have a good time. It's a bad time right now. We're right in the middle of this coronavirus crap. And I mean, it's just put our lives on hold, it seemed like, in so many ways. It's affected life in general for everybody. Even if you're not quarantined at home, if you're working, it has changed everything. And I think that's one reason all three of us talked about, man, we want to do this now because this is we want to do something to kind of bring us back to a little bit of normalcy, talk about something that we like and something that's not related to this pandemic that we're dealing with.
Man, you got it right. We've talked about it in the past, and there's a lot of industries, specifics, doctors, medical professionals. They're saying that. They're saying right now, look ahead to what's going to bring you hope, what's going to draw you back, things like that. And that's what you're talking about with this. This is an opportunity throughout the year when it's not peak hunting season that we can look forward to that. We can have something every week to look forward to listen to get keep our minds, get geared up, whatever the guests we bring in, competitors we talked about, other companies, people all from walks of life that have input into this world to just talk about it, just to do that, break it down, ask questions, talk about it, things like that. And I'm like you, now's the perfect time. People are sitting there all day at home, driving, whatever they're doing, essential, non-essential. They need stuff to do. And so I think you're right. I think this is the perfect time to bring this out, perfect time to get input. And like I said, hit it up on social media, and let's see where it goes.
Absolutely. So, I want to take this first episode here just to kind of let guys know who we were, what we were about, start there, and then before we started bringing guests in. So, Dusty, I was thinking about this earlier. I was kind of excited about you coming in. You and Jake both, as far as talking to you guys today, because it's not just for the listeners. I expect I'm going to learn a lot about you guys today because, we hunt together and stuff, and we know what we've been up to, the last few years. But I don't know a whole lot about your past. So
there might be a reason for that, too.
It might be we'll look in the FBI files if we want to find something else. But so tell me about it, man. Hunting. What kind of hunt did you start with?
So, but I can honestly remember the first type of hunt in my family that I can remember being a part of went really a deer camp, especially in South Arkansas growing up. My dad grew up hunting. My grandparents grew up hunting. 7th generation Arkansans, and we've been here. We've been doing it forever. But I really remember deer camp. I remember going out and 20, 30 members, 2,500 acre lease, the old shotgun shack we camped in, and we had squirrel camp. And I remember going out with guys and sitting on the stands, and I shot a 410, then a 20 gauge, and stuff like that. And I remember that specifically. The stories are I was born in August, and in November my dad had me in a car seat sitting on a Arkley gas line trying to deer hunt out the window, and I would scare deer off shaking the truck. Whether it's true or not, who knows? But that's the stories you get. But that's what I remember. And duck hunting fell right in. My dad grew up duck hunting. My grandpa grew up duck hunting, and it just fell right in when I was old enough to go. I remember going to South Arkansas where I grew up, Felsenthal, Overflow, the refuges, and them finding stumps for us to stand on so we could wait. My dad hand loading 410 because steel shot was so high when it first came out in the early 90s. And so as long as I can remember back, growing up squirrel hunting, duck hunting, deer hunting, fishing, that was part of life. We ate it. It was part of our, dinner. That was part of the food source for our family, and it was part of the camaraderie. We went to church with these people. It was family. It was everything. Mm. And so as far as I can remember back, my earliest childhood memories came from being at deer camp, came from being at camp, and jump shooting wood ducks on the creek and, just constantly being in the woods. That's all we did. And so, and to this day, that's all we do. It's what my little girl does with us. So, and I know you grew up the same way. You grew up out here in the Delta. You grew up hunting and being around it too. So it's ingrained in your family. But, some people have laughed because I know friends of mine that have gotten in the sport later, and that's a totally different atmosphere. It kind of becomes second nature to us, and we take it for granted sometimes that we had that growing up, that we had that woodsmanship kind of just ingrained into us. We knew how to walk trails, like me and Jake were talking about a while ago before the show. We knew how to go find a trail, how to find this, how to read stuff, and you see some of that these days. It's not there, and it's kind of one of those things that's ingrained. But yeah, my history of hunting is straight from deer camp. Everything about it.
So do you still deer hunt a lot?
Oh yeah, we still deer hunt a lot. And matter of fact, we don't go to South Arkansas anymore. That's kind of fizzed out, and the drive and all the families up here now. But I've got a camp in the Delta in East Arkansas, and we deer hunt out of it. We duck hunt out of it. We spend a lot of time over there. We go there and fish in the summers, and we squirrel hunt around it some and stuff like that. So it's become our new family gathering, and like last year it was fun. My 78-year-old grandpa was out there, and then my dad and me. So 3 generations. Then my daughter came. So 4 generations. You've been over that camp already, and so just stuff like that. That's, you can pull the trigger all you want, but there's just something to be said for memories made. And you talk about the asylum and the peace, and we go there and we leave the world behind.
Yeah,
it's all us. That's what we want. It's what all of us want.
Yeah.
That's why we do this. Killing ducks, shooting trophy bucks, catching big fish, big turkeys. Sure, who doesn't like doing it? But same point in time, you go back and think of your fondest memories hunting. Very few of them you can remember pulling that trigger. And I remember reading some stuff. Baseball stuff is a huge part of my life back in the day. And I remember reading some stuff from from players talking about that. Said, I never remember my home run swings. I remember the guys in the dugout. I remember the road trips. I remember that kind of stuff. And I think that's why most people associate hunting with the deer camp life, the squirrel camp life. I grew up here. I grew up running dogs or taking care of the dogs or things like that. So I think that's a lot of it with you and the calling and stuff too. I know you grew up stuff like that.
Yeah, man. It was the same way as you. And you talked about, growing up that way. I didn't realize for a while that other people didn't do the same thing. I just thought everybody did this. It was just normal, But most of mine, my dad deer hunted some before I came along. He was kind of getting away from that, but he really loved duck hunting, and he owned some ground. He had a partner. They owned some grounds now in the Cache River Wildlife Refuge. Now, I grew up in this big town. I know a lot. I can relate to the people from L.A. and New York growing up in Beattyville, Arkansas.
The megatropolis of Beattyville.
Well, and I lived in the suburbs mainly. It wasn't right there in the middle of the city, but
the outskirts.
Yeah, I grew up there in Beattyville and hunted on Cache River, and Cache River is just kind of my backyard. But I look back on it, man, I wouldn't trade it. People talk about, man, what a life. You grew up in the sticks. You didn't do it. Man, I couldn't have chosen a better way to grow up. It just,
you almost can't imagine growing up a different way,
and don't want to.
No.
I look back, I thank God. Man, getting to grow up with the people that I did, not just family, but just some of my dad's friends, the men that I was around growing up in that area, and avoiding a lot of the trouble and stuff that unfortunately a lot of our younger people now find. But Dad started taking me duck hunting with him. I think I just turned 6, and he would take me on the warm days. I mean, he wasn't trekking around out, and it wasn't that tough. And if it was real cold, he would leave me. We had the benefit of having blinds. He built some blinds back there on the river and had warming rooms on them. So once we got out there in the boat, it was pretty easy. He could keep me warm, baby me a little bit when I was young.
That's Cadillac hunting, right?
Yeah, there. It was Cadillac. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I was out there in the trenches at 6 years old, but I sure loved it. I can remember that first day just like it was yesterday. I remember being in that boat with my dad, pulling up to that blind, the other guys that were there. I remember the first time I heard a duck call. I thought, man, that is amazing. And I remember we're sitting there. Basically the rule was, son, when Mr. Phillips starts blowing that duck call, you put your butt on the floor, you stick your head between it, and you don't look up. You don't do anything. But, man, I remember him blowing that duck call, and, Hen's up there in the group above. She calls back to him. I'm like, yeah, Dad, he got it. He can talk to the ducks. I mean, this man's talking to animals. This is the coolest thing in the world. And Dad was he worked most of his life. Started off, I still remember being a kid. He ran a service station, and as we got older, he was farming. He was farming his father-in-law's ground, my grandfather's ground. He had about an hour drive to and from work. Had the long hours of a farmer. So during the spring, summer, I just didn't see much of my dad. And then all of a sudden, he was home in the winter, and we went duck hunting, and that made it more special. Now I was really getting to spend time with my dad, and that's what it was all about for me. That's why I loved it so much. I was spending time with my dad. And then got out there, and man, I just loved duck hunting, loved every bit about it, and that was, it was high adventure for a youngster.
No, it was, and I think you're right. That's the thing people take away from is the family effect, the family atmosphere of it. The same way, my dad was home every day, but he worked fire station, 24-hour shifts, and that was our thing. When I can remember just waiting for him to get home. Let's go, load up. The times I played, he'll listen to this and he'll laugh. The times I played hooky, and he knows it on Friday before deer season to go put heaters in the stands, or
Did you get out of school for deer hunting?
So we didn't get out of school, but basically they really didn't count it against you. It wasn't like they had official deer days, but they didn't really count it against you. But they kind of quit that right before we started. But in the same aspect, everybody knew. You were gone. You skipped that Monday, or you felt bad, or I can remember sometimes I don't want to shoot a deer on Saturday or Sunday because then I can't stay out of school on Monday. So, stuff like that, like you said, that's what you look forward to. You knew it. I'll never forget. I was in kindergarten. It's one of those things, like you said, it's a memory that you just lives with you. And the rule was, you got in trouble at school, you got in trouble at home. Well, I got a paddle at school for fighting. And I'll never forget, he looked at me straight in the face and said, no whipping from me and stay home, or take a whipping and you can go to deer camp. I walked straight over the bed, leaned over, and said, let's go.
Yeah.
Whip me and let me go to deer camp. That's 5 years old. But that's what it meant to us, even then,
Right.
as kids.
Did you win the fight?
No?
Did you win the fight?
Yeah, I won the fight.
Okay. Well,
No,
at least
I
you
won the fight, but except for with the principal. She paddled pretty hard.
at least you didn't get your butt beat twice.
No,
You know? Yeah.
no, I got it whipped twice, but I'm pretty sure I won the fight. Of course, in kindergarten, I don't know how well you win a fight when you're 5 years old. It's probably just a bunch of pushing and rolling around the ground. But like you said, and even, my little girl's 3, finna be 4. And before I come up here, Daddy, where you going? I said, I got to go to the duck call shop. Well, I want to go to the duck call shop. And I'm like, I bet you do, but I don't see how you're going to run around and be in the middle of, so they already know. We knew then. It's like you said, that's something you look forward to. You're already there, and I can remember, I knew the times of year it come around. I knew it was time, we had work day at deer camp where you went and hung signs and put purple paint up and cut firewood. And, the same way with duck camp. Thanksgiving weekend was the weekend. You couldn't, I'd eat dinner as fast as I could on Thursday. Let's go. It's okay. We can't hunt till tomorrow, but you were ready to get there because you knew what was there. I think that's the whole point of driving, of everybody wanting to go hunting and wanting to get out in the woods, is once you're there, you know what's there. Good or bad on the hunt, you know the atmosphere you're part of. You know the camp atmosphere. The friends are going to be there, the family, and that's a big part of it. And it's like you said, it's something that as kids we look forward to, and as we progress and it becomes our kids with us and our friends and our brothers and all that, it becomes more of a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's even bigger and come back. And you have friends and their kids are doing it, and you think, man, that was me.
Yeah.
And you get to be a part of that. And so, like you said, it's just, I think everybody that grew up doing it understands it. And people that don't, sometimes they just never will.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Jake, how about you, man? You got a microphone over there. Y'all can't see Jake, the man behind the curtain, the wizard
I'm
over
here.
there. So tell us about you growing up. When did you get started with the outdoors?
Well, when y'all were talking about it, I was just wondering if everybody had at one point a single shot 20 gauge, and it just like put them on their butt. Like,
Mine was the 410.
410?
I still have it, and it still, I think it puts me on my butt for some reason. Just something about that old
It's
hammer
410
cock.
410 for me too.
Something about that old
Yeah.
hammer cock 410 would get you.
well, after it knocked me on my ass, Dad went and I think he found a 410 single shot because I was like, hey, I'm good. I'm good with not shooting for a little bit. But he talked me into shooting the 410. I was like, okay.
How old were you? You talking about like, what, you 17, 18 at this point? Or?
Yeah, I was 21.
He had just started drinking legally.
No, probably 6, 7, 8. I think I got my 870
Youth Model Express.
youth model 3-inch.
Yeah.
At 8 years old, and it still kicked me pretty good. But yeah, I remember going out just squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting, deer camp. I think I didn't kill my first deer till I was 11, but I remember so much about that day. Going back to deer camp, and these dudes were just like pumped up for me, and I was like, man, that's awesome. I didn't know y'all were going to be that excited. I was excited, but
How about the deer? What'd you kill? What was your first deer?
it was a 5-point. I think Dad was sitting on the stand with me, and I was hearing all these other shots, and I was probably complaining about it, not seeing a deer. So Dad finally just left me in the stand. And I don't know if that's legal, but back then it probably was.
Well,
So
Not recommended, but legal.
he said, you're right. He said, if you see a deer, lay it down. I said, all right. About, I don't know how long, 30 minutes, an hour later, this 5-point walks up. And I hit him once, and he fell down. He gets back up. I put another one in him because I didn't want him going anywhere. I had no, he's 20 yards away. I had no idea, though. I'd never shot a deer. It was my first one. And Dad, I guess he heard the shots, and when he came back, I was down, just laying on that deer. I said, I laid him down.
You pinned him, so like wrestling, you put the
No, hey, I made sure he wasn't getting up before I walked over
he
to
shot
him.
him 3 times, and then he got the 3
remember?
count on top.
But, that was the biggest animal.
slapping the dry leaves in there,
Oh,
giving
yeah.
him a 3 count.
Oh, yeah.
It probably took me 15 minutes to walk up to him because, he had 5 points. That's a big deer.
There you go.
But that's what you think. You think of all the things in your life that's happened. We're all married. We all have kids. We've all been through the dad thing and being married. It's graduating college. And I'm like you. I can tell you second by second.
Oh, yeah.
I was 10 years old, 870 20 gauge slug barrel. Dad elbows me. Hey, there's a buck. Oh, I said, oh, he's huge. He said, shut up, shoot it. I put it right behind his shoulder. I shot. Deer runs off. Dad goes, I hope you hit it. I said, Dad, I saw the hole. I hit it. We go down there, and there he is. And the whole way I'm screaming, big buck pot, I got it, I got it. Well, there was like, you know, it was like a little old basket, 6 point, you know. But everybody in camp, you know, and it was family and it was friends, and they put the blood on your face. And that's what you remember. I remember I cried like crazy when there was blood on my face, 10 years old. I'm like, what's going on? And then it's all in my eyes. I can't see. I'm like, what did y'all do? You know, but you're a 10-year-old kid, you know, and it's like you could almost start getting teary-eyed thinking about it, because this is with your family. My grandpa was there, and my uncles was there, and my mom and my sister. Everybody comes out in the middle of the day to eat lunch, and it was a family atmosphere. That was our family time. You know, that was our reunion. That was our summer trips. That's what deer camp and hunting was to us. You know, and it was year round. We did this year round. You know, we couldn't wait for turkey season. Squirrel season, we camped on the creek in Randolph. You know, like you said, there was so much. And everybody being a part of it, those are the people you remember. Those are the people that influence your life and make you who you are. And I think that's the thing about the asylum, too, is you become a part of that. There's people in my life that I haven't seen in 20 years, but I had those memories with, and I could walk up to them this day, and it was like we were just together yesterday at that deer camp.
Yeah, you're connected forever after something like that.
You are. It becomes such a part because that's the culture you grew up in, and that's a part of it. You know, and being from Arkansas, most everybody has been a part of that in some form or fashion. You know, we've talked about that with other people, what it meant to them and stuff like that. And that's kind of the neat thing. And people that haven't, sometimes you can tell they kind of get jealous of it, which is good. You know, it's like they want it too. They yearn for that camaraderie and that passion, you know, and those memories be made. It's just something as simple as killing a deer, but it's your first deer, and that's a rite of passage for a guy or for a girl, either one, you know. And I think that's the biggest thing with what we've been talking about with this, is wanting to have a show that's real, that talks about that kind of stuff, that gets other people in here to hear the stories of people, you know, people in either the industry or just everyday Joes that have the stories that you never would have heard if they weren't in here. And so, you know, like Jake rabbit hunting, you know, that'd be pretty fun to see. I've never rabbit hunted, so all that stuff.
I don't know if we were really rabbit hunting, but that's what Dad said we were doing. We were carrying around guns, so that's what we were doing.
You weren't snipe hunting?
No, I think we did end up with a couple rabbits.
Now, when did you get into, Jake, when did you start duck hunting?
Oh, same time frame. I think I killed my first duck the first year I had that 870 youth model, so I was 8 when I shot my first greenhead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remember Dad carrying around an old Yashica camera or something, some name like that, and he didn't take a whole lot of pictures. I guess the film was expensive, so he didn't want to have it developed. But, I mean, that's kind of probably where I picked up on my camera stuff, just from Dad having that.
I was going to ask you how you got into that. For those of you that don't know, Jake is a great photographer, good with all this video stuff. And then photography is just amazing. So that's how you got into just watching your dad, or what got you started there?
I mean, like I said, he has I have a few pictures of myself that he took, but there's only 2 or 3. I don't know where all of his pictures went. I don't know if he just lost them or what. But anyway, one of my earlier memories was, you know, him having that camera, him saying, you know, stop right there. I might throw one of the pictures up on the YouTube video. But then later, like, he had a video camera, and I remember carrying that heavy video camera, the VHS, the huge one you lay on your shoulder.
The shoulder mounts.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So like I remember him having cameras, and then I think my first thing was I liked cameras because my dad liked cameras. I didn't know you could be good at taking pictures or taking videos early on like that. Yeah. And just eventually mainly played with cameras until I was like, oh, you know, you can take cool pictures and videos too with these.
I was going to say, well, back then, if you weren't old in meals, it didn't matter if you were good with it or not. He was the only one that ever got paid to do it, it seems like. I think he traveled the whole world taking people's pictures.
And the glamour shots in the mall, I remember those.
You didn't have him taken, did you? You didn't have like when the pink boas on?
My sister, I have older sisters, they for sure did.
Have the feathers with the rolling backdrop, like the old movies coming around. What scene do you want in the background? Let me pull it down for you.
That real soft focus or whatever they have.
Oh, yeah. I remember coming to the little town I grew up in, Smackover, Arkansas. They would come down to the drugstore every year and set up, and you'd go have your pictures made. And you'd be in line and, you know, standing outside waiting your 5 minutes to go in and have your pictures made with your sister, your whole family, or your brother, all the kids or whatever. And it's like, man, that is that is small town USA 101.
My
right
favorite
there.
part, oh yeah, we all grew up that way. My favorite part about the glamour shots, like I remember being a teenager, and then like your girlfriend give you one of her glamour shots.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
and you
then-
got to tape it to the dash of your truck.
Oh, you got to do
you
something
had
with it.
to.
Yeah. But here's what was good is if you got to see Mama's glamour shot that she got when she took the daughter in there, they slutted up Mama and put her in a pink boa and took some pictures of her with too much eye makeup on, and it was those were scary.
Them old fake porcelain pearls they put around her neck.
I was so thankful my mother never found
Oh.
the glamour shots. That's one thing I dodged. One of the few things I dodged. Embarrassing growing up.
Well, my grandpa was a Baptist preacher and left for another church the year before I was born. So we still went to that church. So it was very fresh who was who in that town. So yeah, we didn't dress up for real crazy. So
Yeah.
If anybody wants glamour shots, I can do that though.
Okay.
Brad, if you need one,
I
I can
definitely
hook you up.
I got one taken. I had to show you. Did you see the one of me on the log this last year hunting? I had a good glamour shot moment. I was out there at Neil's.
oh yes, I have that one. I may have that one on my phone.
I've just been waiting on the memes to come out from you bastards.
I think I may have that one on my phone. I may have that one on my phone. I do
Yeah.
remember that. It's a good duck kissy face actually of Brad Allen, and I have it.
Yeah, it's Hey, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty hot.
We'll post that up.
No,
No,
We don't want to discourage people from
Yeah.
from listening just yet.
we don't need to get banned from YouTube yet.
not yet. No,
Yeah,
it's
we
pretty.
got to make this. We got to get where YouTube doesn't charge us for this or
Yeah.
however it works.
Yes.
You know, put a
Pretty-
picture up, say a bad word, and we call it good.
It's pretty racy. Pretty racy. Yeah.
Mm.
If I was one of those male strippers, what I do is walk out there naked and they throw money at me to put clothes back on. That's how that would work. That's how I'd make my money. So,
Use it to cover up.
yeah, exactly.
That's like that meme the other day that said, "Hey, they said all I had to do to go out in public was wear my mask. Well, I did, and now every time I got to put regular clothes on too. Like some people are taking this to the extreme of how they can manipulate stuff. But no, and that's what's funny because, like you said, that's the memories we have. Is that goof camaraderie, the camera. When you said that, I got to laughing. There was a old bulletin board at the old deer camp I grew up in, and there was the old Polaroid. And every year somebody go buy a roll of film for it. And if you killed something, no matter what it was, your picture got taken and it went on the wall. And you're talking about from probably mid '80s to now, they're still doing it. That same camp. It's like there's no telling what all memories and stories could be told off that bulletin board. And like you said, hey, nobody carried a camera. I can remember carrying a disposal camera around in, grade school, high school hunting and stuff. And you get done, if you had a grade hunt, you might take pictures. But I think that's kind of the neat thing about it is it's people look at a picture and they see what happened. Oh, that was cool. But when you say, there is no pictures from this event, but I can tell you step by step what happened. And that's the fun part of it, freezing to death holding the spotlight, or like the deer story. Sure, there's pictures of me my first deer, but that moment of me and my dad running after that deer and him blood trailing it when he could see it, but acting like we got to find it. That's the kind of stuff you can't ever take a picture of. The picture's worth 1,000 words, but then again, living that memory, that's total different right there. Totally different.
Yeah, and the impact that it has. I mean, like, look at us right now. We're all three sitting here talking about this because our dads took us hunting. And, for me, getting into, like, the duck calling competitions and stuff with my dad. My dad, unfortunately, he's, still have my dad and talk to him all the time. But Dad had a lot of health trouble.
Yeah.
When I was in college, he came down with a disease called Guillain-Barré. I know some of you have heard of it, a neurological condition. He had some massive heart attacks while he was getting treatment for that. And so his health, unfortunately, has not allowed him to stay in the woods. And that's one of the things I really hate is that, I can't repay my dad, for taking me out when I was a kid and now having the opportunities that I've had. I really hate that I can't take him out and kind of repay that a little bit, taking him to some nice places to hunt and still hunt with him. But he and I still talk a lot, and I know through the business he really loves this. And one of the great moments in life, he took me to my first duck calling competition, 1988. We went down there, and my dad never blew a duck call. He never could. He tried, but he never could. But he took me down to Stuttgart in 1988. We went around, saw the museums, and went to the contest. And man, I was just starry-eyed looking at it. And We nearly froze to death that night. It's back before you had the good hunt coach. You know, you just had the coveralls when you were a kid. Had the camouflage coveralls.
The Liberties.
Yeah, and I put those on. We nearly froze. Drank my first coffee that night, trying to stay warm. Hated the taste of it at the time, but I was just trying to find anything warm to get in my body.
How old were you?
Gosh, I don't know. See, 88, 73 was when I was
15?
born. Yeah, somewhere around there. 14, 15, somewhere in there.
Give me some coffee.
Yeah.
I'm cold.
But we stayed out there and froze to death, and that was one of the coolest things, you know, from there later in life, getting to call him, you know, after getting my butt handed to me time after time in those calling contests, being able to call him on the phone and saying, Dad, hey, you remember 1988, we came down to this contest and froze our butts off sitting out here. You remember that night? He said, yeah, I do. And I said, well, Dad, I just won it tonight. And you know, he just couldn't believe it. That was one of the best moments of my life. And I called him on. I don't know. Some of you guys know Trey Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Trey Crawford, 3-time world champion, and he was one of my idols when I started. I just hoped I'd get a chance to meet Trey Crawford, and he turned out to be a good friend. But here I am later calling my dad on Trey Crawford's phone after the contest and getting to tell him that I won, and the next day putting that, you know, handing him that trophy. That was the best part of it. That was better than winning. That was better than anything. It goes back. It was more than just hand it to him in that moment. It's all those moments from that first duck hunt that we talked about until then. You know, that's the goal to that moment, getting to share it with him, with that history that we had.
It is, and that's the drive behind it. You know, that's, you know, like you're talking about, I can remember my first trip to Max. I can remember my first trip to, you know, it wasn't a big store yet. It was a little store. And I can remember going there and buying, not a hand-me-down, but getting to pick out my first call off the shelf. And, you know, my grandpa was pastoring in England, and so we drove over there after hunting that morning. Some farmers let us hunt their field, and I picked out just an old green wing, double reed, whatever off the shelf that was probably cheap that I could afford. And we came back, and I was just wearing on it in the truck. He's got the window down, probably saying all kinds of stuff, regretting buying that call. But I'll never forget, we pulled back up to the field. We were going to hunt that afternoon. He's like, all right, go out there in the blind and blow your lungs out. I think I was 10 or 11. Just go blow your lungs out, you know, and I'm going to sit in the truck taking a nap. Well, next thing you know is I'm shooting like crazy. They're flying everywhere. Of course, that was the first year. That was the Mojos. So I had that thing hooked up after being told not to. So whether the calling worked or not, all that mattered is I was unloading that 870 gauge every time they come around. But like you said, that's the stuff you never forget, you know. And then when me and you got hooked up years ago when you started this, and one of the first things I said was, hey, I want you to make me a call, and I want to engrave, you know, Papa Bob from my dad. That's what my little girl calls him. And kind of that was that handoff like you're talking about. You know, no, mine's not a world champion trophy. But to me it is, because that's the handoff. Oh, yeah. He handed me that first call, and I handed him one back of what's become a great friendship between you that meant something, you know. Yeah. And it's what you work for, it's the drive, and that's why you do it, you know. And I think, like you said, that's the whole point of the Outdoor Asylum. This is our place, our sanctuary, our drive. These were our memories were made, where they go, you know. And, you know, Jay, everybody can tell these stories, and I think that's going to be the fun part of this show as we go forward, is having people on here to tell those type of stories, and people you know and you see, you know, day to day on social media, people you might follow on social media, but everyday people you run into the store that you might not know had history, that did that or were part of that, you know. And we could all go on all day and day and day around about stories and things like that. And, you know, and I didn't know this till later in life, but, you know, a prime example is, you know, my dad, he graduated high school from North Little Rock, and my grandpa preached, and one of the deacons in the church was Elmer Sinke. You know, Elmer's clothing store there in North Little Rock. Well, his grandson is Lyle Sinke, and and he's the cameraman for Duck Commander. Mm-hmm. So, but Dad remembers Elmer had a blind in Dagmar, and they would pull off the interstate, throw the boat off the boat rack, put the little 5-horse on it, and take off. Well, now that's one of the places we hunt. It's the same block of wood. So you're talking about years later, generations, and this and that. We, you know, coming back and going and hunting the same woods with your grandpa, with this, you know. And I've, you know, family grew up around, you know, Camp Robinson, the Bell Slough area from the Civil War. And, you know, my grandpa talking about in the late 40s, early 50s, going in there with his uncles in surplus Jeeps they bought for cheap and going there duck hunting. And then, you know, when I was in college at UCA, taking my grandpa into Bell Slough Grassy Lake. So you're talking about hunting places that greats hunted. And it's just, when you sit back and think about it, and that's it. That's why we're here. This is our asylum. This is our take on it. and this is our drive for it. And I know Jake has the same stuff from where he was, and you know, you've grown up here your whole life. You've hunted these woods, you've seen them, and you've come through the same way. And I think that's the beauty of it. That's the fun of it, is seeing and making those memories, talking about them, sharing them, and getting other people's input on them. And I think that's where we want this to go. You know, I think when you've talked about that, is we want this to come back to that of why we do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot's been lost on not the commercialization. It's great to make a living doing what you love, and nobody ever faults anybody for doing that. But I think a lot of us got hung up in that part of it, and not in the really why we do this, why we go out there every day, why we drive. Sure, some people say, "Oh, you got to kill a duck." Man, honestly, not really.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. It's a blast. There's nothing prettier than watching them suckers back flat, pulling the trigger and laying them down, good dog going and getting them, high-fiving. But at the same point in time, when there's nothing flying and you got a couple 13-year-old punk kids and you're telling them jokes and everything, knowing they're going to go back and tell their mama about eating a Twinkie or whatever, that's because you remember being that kid with me and doing it to you. And I think that's where this is going to really, really be good, I think, is we can get those people in here to tell them stories and stuff like that, because that's the stuff that sticks with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take the rest of your life.
And I can't wait to talk. I mean, I've got guys in my mind that I haven't even talked to about. I don't know if they'll say yes or not, come on this crazy show with us. But, man, I've enjoyed talking to you guys today. I mean, like I said, know you guys well. And I didn't know a lot of these stories that you guys told. We never really talked about the past like that. But I'm looking forward to getting some of these guys that I know so well. If they'll come on here, tell their story. I can't wait to hear what drove them. How did they get into this? How did they get started here? And going to hear some great stories along the way. And I can't wait to do that and share that with everybody.
Oh, yeah, you're right. What drives people to do what they do and how they push from the guys who did it 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, to the guys who are doing it today. You know, I mean, you've talked about that, and Jake knows exactly what I'm talking about. You go back and you look at guys that started clubs, that, you know, the old school clubs, how they manicured them for ducks, how they took care of the ducks. And then you look at the modern stuff that does it, you know, these big new clubs coming out, people doing it. And you just look at the string across of how times has changed, how we hunt. And I think that's going to be really cool to watch the hunting, what hunting became throughout the years with innovations and technology and how people just went back and forth. It's going to be really interesting getting people on here, hearing different sides of it from different parts of it. It's going to be really neat, and I hope people tune in, watch it, listen to it, and feel free to add your stuff in. You know, when we get to the comment and stuff, I hope people comment about, yeah, man, that made me think about this. If one person says, hey, that story you told made me sit back and think about that and put a smile on my face, then that's what this is for. Yeah,
and I hope this show takes on you know, like we're doing this. To me, it's kind of we're sitting here at a poker table, but it feels like we're at duck camp or at hunting camp of some kind. I want it to have that fireside appeal to it, or that feel to it. Of, you know, there's so much now, and, you know, we talk about social media. Even though a lot of what we're doing here will be driven by comments and things, we're definitely going to use social media to help with this. But man, this life this world that we're in now, you know, social media, it's too. I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost, it's gotten nasty out there. You know, it's people, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about. You're sorry. You know, this product's not the best. Yours sucks the way you're doing it. You don't know what you're doing. I hope that this promotes some of the good parts about hunting, the stuff that made hunting the sports that we love, that we're passionate about, that we are crazy about. I hope that this show does that and promotes that more. And I hope guys that are passionate about it, and the purest of hunters, I hope this is the guys that really join us here and enjoy what we're doing.
No, I agree. You hit the nail on the head with talking about, you know, the keyboard warrior atmosphere. You know, the social media is a platform, good or bad. You can use it, and at the end of the day, there's times when before you hit done, before you hit post, sometimes you just need to delete. You know, never send a mad email, the old business rule 101. You know, I think that's social media 101. You know, you get on these call groups or hunting groups or stuff like that, and you read some of the comments, you know, like we're talking about, you know, if today we sit there and posted a picture of us with this little 6-point or 5-point we killed, mine got mounted, by the way, full shoulder mount. Yeah, if I posted a picture of that, you should have let him grow. What'd he score? Was he a cold buck or something? It's like, no.
Yeah, I know, like, and I'm not a bigger deer hunter as you guys are, but I know, like, Michael Waddell, I see him posting, you know, saying a lot of things that I think are that are spot on. I haven't watched his shows and know as much about him as you guys do, but he talks about that, how, hunters are shaming other hunters. You know,
he made that comment the other day, exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I hear Ted Nugent even, Ted, he's kind of crazy. Love him, hate him, whatever, but I hear him talking about the same thing. Yeah, well, Uncle Ted.
Yeah, shoot what you want. Don't worry about anybody else. Enjoy the sport. And
Exactly.
I think that's a lot of, we get hung up. I watch the forums and stuff, and everybody does, and it gets old, but, well, you shouldn't hunt that way. Look, there's no right way or wrong way to hunt. I read all the time, well, you're only supposed to shoot on 5 feet over the water. Really? Then why'd your grandpa shoot a 30-inch full choke barrel with number 4 lead? Yeah. It's kind of like, hunt the way you want to hunt. Be courteous of other people, but that's life.
Yeah, be ethical, be courteous, but
and
enjoy
I think
it.
that's going to be, sure, in a perfect world, if everybody kind of did it the same way, then it would work the same. But not everybody likes the same way. Right now it's turkey season. I'm running gun turkey. I love to go climb the highest ridge, listen to them, and take off. But I know people that'll just sit there knowing turkeys in an area and deer hunt them, wait them out. That's fine. I'm not knocking you on that. That's your style.
You got a nice turkey the other day.
I did.
By the way,
I got lucky. We actually we got real lucky. Had some good hunting. So we go the same kind of area every year and camp out. And that's another thing. That's the beauty of look forward to with my brother-in-law and father-in-law every year. And yeah, so we set up camp, and I'd already listened to this spot a couple mornings and knew there were some turkeys in there. And we got in there, and we're sitting there, and opening morning, turkey gobbled pretty close. We got set up, and could hear a hen calling back and hear him walking around, and literally the hen come up. I'm talking about, I got a video of it 10 foot off the end of my feet, Jake. I mean, it's right there, and we could hear the gobbler down below. And I got my brother-in-law in front of me, and I'm messing with it. He just will not crest that hill. Other hens with him, whatever. And so we backed out, and the next day was bad weather. We didn't really have nothing, and man, the next day, 3 turkeys gobbled. We jumped on one. I could see him out there. He was kind of hung up with other hens. I thought probably the same turkey. Couldn't get a shot. And so we backed out after a while when they walked off, and we got on another bird. And I'm like, called him right up, 40 yards, 35 steps, whatever, kill shot. And I'm looking at my brother-in-law off the corner of my eye going, shoot, he's right there. Huge stump he's behind it. And I can't tell, he can't see. So I finally said, enough's enough. I shot. And we killed turkey, great deal. Out of nowhere comes this guy running up the side of the hill. He had heard all the commotion, the gobbling on, was running through the woods trying to catch his turkey. Didn't realize we were on it. So it's like, be careful out there, But the cool thing was the guy was nice as he could be. He took a picture for us, It's like, it was a long walk. We were in a boat off one of the lakes. So, the mountains. He was like, hey, I'll give you a ride back to your boat. It's a pretty far walk. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. But yeah, no, like you said, but that's one of the things. Killing a turkey was fun. I had a blast. But, man, I got to spend 6 days in the mountains with family. We camped out, had fun. They left, and then my wife and daughter come up and spent a couple of days, and I got to go hunt some more, sit on some ridges, watch some beautiful sunrises in the mountains in West Arkansas. And, I got lucky. It was kind of funny how it all worked out.
Well, let me tell you what I did. You guys, you know that I don't chase deer like you guys do. I'm always waiting on duck season, but I got a deer this morning. That crazy heifer ran out in front of me this morning. I looked out, I'm coming in, going speed limit. It's raining, wet highway and everything. This heifer, this doe, is running at me, come out of the woods to my right, running as fast as I've ever seen a deer run. And I center punched it with my Tundra. I've got to go talk to the insurance guys tomorrow and see about fixing this. So yeah.
What are we going to do about this here? You got to, like hair in the grill. Did you get the deer? Was the deer dead? I mean, I didn't get no phone call for some fresh deer meat. Did you?
No,
I ain't scared.
Well, let me tell you, I hit this doe, and she went roll. Like I said, she was running as fast as she could. I was going speed limit. I wasn't going fast because it was a nasty morning out there. I hit her, and this deer slid across the highway. I thumped her right the center of my grill. I'm talking about center punch. And I thought, if I'd have tried like flooring the truck to get past her, she'd have center punched me on the side. I mean, that's how hard she was coming. I hit her, and she just went skidding down the highway, rolled into this guy's yard, hit a tree, and rolled up the tree a little ways. Came back down, and I looked back at her, and she was walking off. I don't think she probably went very far. But she was in these people's yard. I didn't want to go out there and be like, hey, man,
Hey, man, you might
I gotta-
go out there and handle up on that cripple like
Yeah.
that's in your yard.
yeah, I'm going to walk out here through your yard and see about this.
I guess
about
that'd be
this
kind of
deal.
like duck hunting. Hey, I'm chasing a cripple over here. Ended up in your spread. You mind if I get that duck back?
But, yeah, she was a big doe. That was a bad deal. That was a bad start to the day. But
That's not a good way to start your day, no matter where you go.
no.
She had some momentum to get up that tree.
You need a little sound bite for
I
that
was
one.
finna
That
say,
was,
you
yeah.
need a little cymbal pop on the back of that
He's
one.
got us some in the that he was loading a little while ago. Some good sounds that we can put in. You got any of them pulled up right now, Jake? Or
I'll walk over there. I can.
what? Let's see. What? Give us some good ones that we'll have to use throughout.
You
throughout
got to
some of
kind of
these
tell us
episodes.
what they're going to be for. If you're going
Most of them going to be for my stupidity.
I was going to say, we're going to bleep. Are we going to bleep something?
no gas in it.
Yeah, that's usually what happens to the boat first thing in the morning.
What we've got here is failure
Oh, you
to
classic
communicate.
cool hand Luke.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, failure to
that.
communicate.
A 10. A 10.
You know that one?
I'm trying to remember what movie it's from.
Varsity Blues.
Yes.
Billy Bob.
Billy Bob.
A 10.
That's it.
A 10.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Need a bigger boat. That
whipped
predicts the
cream
one where I was up with Neil in a boat. That we had overloaded. You know me, I'm the biggest guy in the boat.
We have a picture
you know.
of that too, Jake, by the way.
Yeah, that
There
we
is
needed a bigger.
2,500 pounds of man in a 1436 riveted flat bottom with a go devil.
I'm still taking crap over that picture. You know, they were like, man, I was one honey bun away from sinking
Dude,
that whole hunting
I'm
crew.
telling you, like, there's not a quarter inch of aluminum out of the water. It's a good thing it was probably only about knee deep, or it would have been bad.
Oh man, this abuse. It's already started. First episode, and I'm already catching it. But it was true. I have to say, it's you can see it on photo. But anyway, guys, bad start to the day hitting a deer, but a great finish to it. We've been excited. We've been talking about doing this podcast forever, and man, I enjoyed it. Dusty, thanks for coming down here and being a part of this with us. I hope you'll come back. I know your job's going to keep you out of pocket a lot. You probably won't be on every episode with us, but
I'm
as
gonna
much
do the
as
best
you
I can. I enjoy it.
as much as you can, we'd love to have you come join us and be a part of this. Jake, man, appreciate all the work that you did. All this, I look at all this stuff, the lights, the computer. Anytime you see me at a computer, I look like a monkey trying to fly an airplane. Jake knows how to do this, set all this up for us. He's the genius. He is the wizard behind the curtain. So, Jake, man, I appreciate you doing this and
You're welcome.
being a part of it, and had a great day. And thanks for everybody that's listening to this. Genuinely, I mean this. Thank you so much for listening to this. Please come back and join us for future episodes. Like I said, subscribe to us, follow us, and please share this with your friends. We'll be posting some stuff on social media. And we'd love to hear any kind of feedback that
I was
you
going
have.
to say, yeah, comment. Shoot us a message. Shoot Elite a message. However you get a hold of it. Find me on social media. Message me. Any ideas for guests, what you think, what you'd like to hear. That's what this is about. This is not, we're going to sit here and push our agenda, push our bias. This is unscripted life where we want to just have people in here and go, all right, here's the mic. Tell your story. Tell us what makes you tick. What is your asylum? What is your piece out there and why? And I think that's gonna be the fun of it. I can't wait.
Yeah, and hopefully we will be able to get some well-known guests in here, and when we do, I'd like to post it up and tell us some questions. What's some stuff you'd like to ask these people? And as long as you're asking good, respectful questions, it doesn't matter how tough it is, as long as it's put in a courteous, respectful way. We love to ask some of these questions for you and get some feedback from these guys. Try to make you as much a part of this show as we can.
Exactly.
So, well, guys, listen, thank you very much. Hey, I got a deck of cards. Hey, we're at the poker table. What are we going to play here, Jake? A little quick game of war?
War, goldfish. Go fish.
Go fish. Is it goldfish or go fish?
Go.
It depends on what my 3-year-old what you ask her.
You want to cut them? All right. A card each. Let's see who wins here. I want to win the first episode. Anyway, what you got?
You don't want none. Y'all see that? He don't want none.
Ooh.
He don't want none.
Hard.
Oh, Sacagawea. You see that mess right
King
there?
has arrived.
The king has arrived.
The
That's right.
champ is in the building.
Took out the queen. Y'all
The
saw
champ
that.
is in the building. He couldn't do that again if he tried.
I'm pretty sure he set that up.
Oh,
so
you know he did.
Hey, he cut the cards, man. Guys, anyway.
You watched that finger slid out the bottom, didn't you, Jake?
We'll review it on video.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you. Everybody, thanks at home. Come back and join us for the next episode. Thanks a lot, guys.
If you think you're going hunting again, you're crazy.
You are out of your mind.